So the ice wall is a little bit of a psyop. Everyone knows the ice wall from the Game of Thrones, right? The little guy. Well, a lot of people they make it look like a wall at the end of the earth. That's not the case, right? My tea here. You couldn't give this to me without a container. The cup.
Right.
Without
Right.
the container, it needs to be contained. So liquids need to be contained.
Right.
So large bodies of water need to be contained. So if you had a lake, what's the container for the lake? The land
Right.
that's higher than the water.
Right.
And if you lowered that land below the height of the water,
It's gonna spill.
the water's going to flow away. So if we look at all the continents of the world and take their average elevation and we rank them, Antarctica is number 1, and it's over twice as high as number 2. So Antarctica isn't an island, a continent at the bottom of the ball. Antarctica is the shoreline that goes all the way around our world pond. Think of all the oceans as a giant pond and all the continents as islands within it. Antarctica is the shoreline that holds our water in. The question is, what's past the shoreline of Antarctica?
Right. But Antarctica is not mountains. It's just ice.
No, there's mountains. There's mountains in Antarctica. They call them, the names of the mountains are very weird, but there's supposedly mountains there higher than Everest, but they don't tell us about that.
But how do you know that?
Well, this is information that we have from some explorers, from old encyclopedias. The encyclopedia from 1958 says at 80 or 85 degrees, I forget, 80 degrees south, which is way south, farther than anyone is allowed to go and independently, they say that there's a domed ceiling at 13,000 feet.
What book is that?
This is the Encyclopedia Americana from 1958.
Americana Encyclopedia? Encyclopedia Americana from
See if I have an image of that.
1958.
Yeah.
Said there's a dome
Ceiling.
in the South Pole. There is a well-known claim that circulates in flat earth communities and has been thoroughly fact-checked. What the encyclopedia actually said. The 1958 Encyclopedia Americana Volume 2 contained a passage about early U.S. Antarctic flights. The flights proved the inland areas to be featureless in character, with a dome 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south, longitude 90 degrees east.
Now,
what the dome actually means here. The word dome here refers to an ice dome, a geographic, glaciological feature.
but they're saying the tops of mountains, they call them domes, right? So you can make up excuses for everything, and that's what the globe does. It just makes up excuses. It's an interesting point, doesn't prove anything. It's just an interesting point that our old encyclopedias talk about stuff that's been removed. Why did they remove that from the current encyclopedia? Why doesn't it still say that? And I'm sure you've looked into the old world, all the old buildings of this world, Tartaria type stuff. The textbooks before 1910 talked about when the Native Americans were here, when Columbus came here, that there were cities, buildings that were here already, deserted, and nobody knew where they came from. They were here already. All of that's been removed from our textbooks after the Rockefellers took over.
Can you prove that?
If you can find a textbook before 1910, yes. I've seen one. I don't have one, and I'm gonna look for one, but I don't have one personally. But here's the thing. Look at these old buildings. Look at, watch My Lunch Break on YouTube. He's one of the greatest guys that are looking at these old buildings. None of them have blueprints. None of them have any construction records. And the story is how they were constructed in the early 1900s or late 1800s in 1 year, like with no power tools and horse and buggies. It's all impossible stuff. So our history of the civilization on Earth is a lie. And the nature of our world that we live on is the biggest lie. I love your skepticism. I'll be like, let me see the proof of that. We don't need to go back in history. You don't have to believe the story of Eratosthenes 2,000 years ago did his sticks and shadows, to prove the radius of the Earth, because that's been already debunked. We can go measure it ourselves, easy, with our naked eyes, or get a super zoom camera or a telescope. We can see things beyond the required physical limit of a globe of the diameter that they tell us.
Let's stick to Antarctica. So you said, what's behind the wall? What's behind those mountains?
The shoreline, right? You go to Antarctica, there's like a 200-foot plateau. what's out there, there's no free and independent exploration. All the countries in the world that are warring with each other, they all agree nobody can go to Antarctica. And
That's a fact.
No, well, you can't go. They'll say, yes, you can. You can buy a trip. All these people go. Thousands of people go. Not thousands. Some people go every year, but they only take you to the very tip of Antarctica, the very, that little spit that comes out near South America. They take you to a little island there. And that's all they let you see. They only take you to. I can share this with you. Let me do that. So I'm going to show you the bases. So they only take you there. There's two little islands that they take you to, and one of them is called Deception Island, and the other one's called, I believe it's Rothschild Island. Really weird.
I wish we have never had this conversation, but here we are. I am bankrupt, which means I spend more than I earn. And as you can see, I don't live a luxury life. I don't have Gucci T-shirts, I don't buy Porsches, I don't live in a mansion or something, I don't go out, we don't eat in a restaurant even once in 2 or 3 weeks. All the money that I spend is basically housing and the groceries. That's it. And I spend all my money to keep this podcast going. I love what I do, but it's just not sustainable at this point. Although I have 100,000 subscribers, I do not have any sponsors. I have morals, values, and principles. That's why I'm not selling you any scam, any bullshit, anything that I would have never used myself. I'm not begging you for donations. I just ask you to consider if you like the podcast that I do, if you like the content that I bring you, and if you can, click this QR code or find the link in the description below and buy me a coffee. Even $5 is great help. If you can, make it monthly. This will help a lot. For example, for this specific episode, I traveled from Los Angeles to Vegas just to have a sit down and record a podcast with the one and only David Weiss. I can't stand Zoom. I believe Zoom podcasts, Zoom conversations are very artificial and they're just not real. They just don't feel natural. I'm not willing to sacrifice quality for quantity. I'm not willing to sacrifice you, my audience, just to advertise you some shit. That's why I'm asking you to consider supporting my channel if you enjoy watching my podcast. And if you can, no worries. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. It's free. Leave a comment below. It's free. Like this video and send it to all your friends, peers, and loved ones. It's still free, and this will still help my channel a lot. And now, without any further ado, let's get back to the podcast with the one and only Flat Earth Dave.
So those.
Okay, so this is South America. This is Argentina. Okay,
Yeah. So right out there where those cluster dots are, where your mouse is, that's where there's like a little island out there that they take you to. So you're familiar with United States. I'm from the East Coast, so I want to use an example up there. Long Island. You know about Long Island?
Of course.
Right? So Long Island, you have the South Shore of Long Island, it goes to the ocean. Then 40, 50 miles across Long Island, it would be the North Shore, Long Island Sound, then Connecticut, and then across the country, California. So if you came from let's say you'd never been to America, and we took you from England and we took you on a boat and we bring you to the South Shore of Long Island, and you say, hey, you can go anywhere here within 1 mile. You can just explore this area and take pictures. Do you know what's on the South Shore of Long Island? Do you know what's in Connecticut? Do you know what's in Michigan or California?
Or Texas?
No, you don't know. You wouldn't know anything other than the little area that they take you to. So when people say, you can go to Antarctica, there's bases. So see all those bases, all those are known bases, but that's inverted. Go to the second picture. The second picture is how those are the bases. The shoreline of Antarctica surrounds our pond. And if you notice on the left-hand side, there's no bases for that area. That area, because look how that area doesn't stick out as far. It goes farther out, and there's no sunlight over there. There's no bases over there.
Okay, but if this is the true model of the Earth, it means the distance from this, let's say, base to this base
Far.
is incredible
Yeah,
far.
incredibly far. And that's why nobody goes from like the base off of Santiago to the base off of Australia. No two people like, hey, I'll come to your base, we'll have lunch. Never happens.
How do you know that?
Because it doesn't happen. They'd have to prove it. But nobody's ever done it. Nobody's gone from Australia to the base off of South America. If somebody wants to go to Antarctica, they go from Australia, I believe, to the United States, then to South America, then to Australia. Why don't they just go the other way, short little distance, and jump over to their base over there?
Okay, so if this is true, if Antarctica is no man's land, it's only, let's say, 40-something countries. How many countries did they sign the agreement?
Well, at first there was a handful, but now there's like almost every major country has signed it. All the countries that matter.
So it does not belong to any country. It belongs to...
That's what they say. They say that Antarctica was restricted because of they wanted to protect the ice and the penguins. This was in
The penguins?
The penguins. The migratory paths of the penguins. We didn't want to disturb them. So environmentalism, before it was even a word, was the reason that all these countries signed the Antarctic Treaty. The Antarctic Treaty says that there's no free and independent exploration of Antarctica. Now, the Globers will argue that there was a kid just last year that wanted to fly his plane to every country, and he flew to Antarctica without a flight plan. He just flew to Antarctica. And he landed in Antarctica and was immediately arrested. This kid is a social media guy, posts on everything 10, 20 times a day, hasn't posted since. Don't know what happened to him.
They took his phone.
Well, I mean, this has been over a year. So where is he? How come he hasn't posted?
He still didn't post.
He hasn't posted since that happened, and it was a year or more ago.
You think he's dead?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he saw. It depends on what he saw, you know.
Okay, so if this is true, it means that all those countries agreed to hide this, let's say, truth.
Yeah.
How is it possible? How can Americans and Chinese and Russians and Iranians come up together with this idea to hide the truth from the people if they are enemies, quote unquote?
So that enemies, right? The division, borders between countries, like Canadians and Americans, what's the difference? How do you know which is a Canadian, which is American? Because an imaginary line that the governments, nobody trusts the government. The government says, well, this is Canada, this is America, and you guys are different. You have different rights and you have different things, right? So they make up all these rules. We're at war with Iran right now. Have the Iranians been bothering you for the last couple decades personally?
Me personally, never.
Never. Have you ever said, I want to get those damn Iranians? No.
Never.
Right? Nobody has. But the governments are fighting. The governments are like, oh, we're going to do this. And Israel says this. And Russia's going to do this. All of these wars, they're all in it together. It's a big show to keep us fighting, keep us separated. They want us separated. They don't want us coming together. Collective consciousness is their biggest threat. They want us, you know what loosh energy is? So they want us all fighting. Like if Israel wanted to take out Palestine, they can do it in an hour, right? They have the weapons to just completely obliterate the place,
right.
But they want to drag this out. America, could we have taken out, where were we? Afghanistan in a day? Probably. Okay, let's give it a week, right? But we did it for how many years? 20 years.
Lots of money.
Well, lots of money, lots of stress, lots of pain, lots of loose energy, because this is a demonic spiritual war that we're in. Now, here's how you win a spiritual war. You convince everybody that there's no such thing.
The best thing the devil did, he convinced everybody he does not exist.
Right. And so there's really, once you start looking into this, and I didn't always believe this stuff, but it's absolutely true. I'll tell you a story that I was at Antarctica, the conference in Mexico. I speak there for the last 3 years. And I was talking to the shaman there, and he told me this story, and I checked it, and you can check it too. He says in Bali, the natives believe that demons live underneath the ground there. And for, I don't know how long, but forever, they do every year on one day, they have a demonic festival. Like the parade is crazy, demons and devils and everything. And they sacrifice some animals. A lot of people say that children go missing, but you can't find that in the mainstream. And then when it's over, everyone goes back to their homes. Visitors go back to their hotels. The power is turned off for 24 hours and no one's allowed to go outside or make any noise for 24 hours. Every year they do this. And the story is that the demons come out and clean up all the loosh that's been spilt over the year. I look at loosh like it's not something like, something that dissipates. Like you spill your loosh, it's like an oil spill. It just sits there until it's cleaned up. So the demons come out, they eat, if that's the right word, all the loosh, then they go back. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the natives and the demons. Both are happy. They don't interfere with each other.
Yeah, but they can loosh not only with the war, they can loosh, and they do with, let's say, sports.
Sports,
entertainment,
roller coasters, scary movies, and by design, we're in this system. They're farming us. They're literally farming us for loosh, and they're very efficient farmers. And so if you don't give them their loosh, right, the opposite of loosh would be love, right? If you don't give them their loosh, they lose interest in you quickly and they go somewhere else to get it. They don't care what side of the argument, ball, flat, New York Giants, New York Jets, red, left, political. They don't care as long as you're fighting. They just want us fighting. They want us separated. They want us scared. The globe model is a satanic model, and it's a model of fear. Asteroids going to wipe us out. Sun's going to explode. We're running out of fuel. Right? They want us believing in lack. We're running out of food. We're overpopulated. It's all lies. Right? You could take the population of the world, and everybody can live in Texas, and half of Texas would be empty. Right? So it's incredible how much space there is. And that's with the number they give us, 8 billion people.
If you enjoyed this short clip, please be sure to watch the whole episode, which can be found right here. So click right here, right now, and watch the entire episode. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed.